All right, so this is part two of the Rocky Point demonstration. And instead of starting with the sky this time, like I normally do, I just started with, I started with the orange part because that color was so far off from everything else that I thought it would be better to start with that. So, although usually I do start with the sky, when something just seems really wrong, I might start there, sort of starting with the thing that's the worst in the painting. And I think you can tell that I can't figure out exactly what to do, so that I'm trying a bunch of different things to get that to be toned down more. Obviously, nothing I've done so far has actually toned it down. But this will, because I've added some green, I guess. Oh no, that's still the brown. Okay, so yeah, but adding some dark, like I think I also let that area just get too light. For one thing, there are some places that are really light, but I think I let them overly influence me. That's why it's so good to remember to squint. And here's where I use the green. So that definitely tones down that orange. And I think I decided to go to the water next because I wanted to put in the lightest lights. And it had been sprayed just right at the start of this, so um, that's how I'm able to put that light on and have it just kind of lay on top. And then same thing back to the clouds now to find the lightest places in the clouds and restate them. The thing, the spray makes it so dark. Not only does it give you a good surface, but it makes it so dark so that, with the exception of, like in this case, the grass stuff there, what I think my plan is to bring up the lights. Sometimes you can't even make the darks darker because once it's been sprayed, that's darkened your darks too, and you don't have anything darker. So bringing up the lights is another way of making your darks darker. And I really wanted to work on the sky. The sky is really, to me, the more interesting half of the landscape. So the thing is that I wanted to show that back edge, the very bottom of the darker blue I just put on the cloud, that's the farthest away edge. And it's actually the harder edge, and then the edge in the middle there where you're turning from light into shadow from the side of the cloud to the underplane of the cloud, that's a softer edge. So how do you make that far edge a harder edge but still have it go back in space? So that's the stuff I've been thinking about a lot and trying to be sure I get my clouds, the clouds in the right order of what's in front of what. So I have my three things going. I have the color of the sky, the color of the clouds in light, and the color of the clouds in shadow. And then I have some variations of that. And I have to say, I was wishing I'd made it darker down there on the horizon line. I realized just recently that that would have made that look more like. Yeah, that would have made more sense with why the water was so dark back there, because of those, if the clouds had been a little darker on the horizon, I think. You can see I'm trying to go up and down with my strokes in the clouds, trying to make them turn over to make that soft edge in the middle there that hopefully makes the cloud look round and dimensional and not flat. Same thing here. It's really hard to sit here and look at this and look at the photograph and see how the inaccuracies. But you know, it's just an hour-long demo, so. I mean, I would just love to be able to do it all just right, but I just don't seem to be able to. Especially what I'd like to try to be able to do is make like those top clouds look like they're closer to me, that they have the darker, richer tones, and then that things are getting less intense as they go further back in the sky. Really, really working hard here to create depth in the sky. And to keep the clouds that are on top really on top. You have to be really sure that you don't get too bogged down in any one area, that you're looking all around your painting when you make decisions. So like when I'm putting those little sky holes in there, um, they start to pop forward. So I'm hoping I do what I should do, which is come back over that top dark cloud, the edges of that with the dark color. Yes, thank you. And be sure that that cloud is ultimately on top of that cloud will look like it's on top, and that the colors of it will literally be on top. So that's why I've been thinking a lot lately that on the sky you have to work from the bottom up. Like on the land, you work from the top down, because the highest thing up on the land is the furthest thing away, but in the sky, the furthest thing away is closest to the horizon. And I never really dealt with the edge of the stuff that's going on right near the horizon, which I really wish I had. I guess probably this part of the sky just took forever. And I felt like I couldn't work on the sky much more. Also, something happened right in the middle when I was doing this, and I can't remember what it was, but it really broke my concentration right when I was getting ready to start working on the land. And I'd kind of forgotten about this, but I thought I was just going to have to, I don't know what, I didn't have time to do it again, but so I had to keep going, even though I didn't feel like I had the kind of concentration I need to have. I got interrupted somehow. Yep, that's a little too bright. I was trying to make that edge have a little variety. That edge where the land meets the sky. Then I just wanted to add a little more of the colors from the sky back down into the water, so it would look like reflections from the sky. And I think the reason I started right there was trying to look at the, yeah, right there between the water and the rocks, but like right now I just have to look at it for a second to see that the rocks are much darker than the water right there, so I shouldn't have really been making them lighter. Yep, all along there, darker than the sky, darker than the water, and I made it lighter. Sometimes things happen. Yeah, I felt like quite a bit of time. I don't know what, like I said, something interrupted me and I really lost my concentration, and I spent a lot of time here making things worse. So don't do that. Yeah, sometimes I just sit here and I think, how come you didn't see that glaring mistake on those rocks? How come you let that get away from you? Those rocks are as light as the water now. Yeah, and the trees too, like look at that. Every single color I put on since I sprayed it has been lighter than the background. So I think this is, Charles Hawthorne said a thing about you can't paint when you're not paying attention. You can't do good painting when you're not paying attention. And I just think this is a good example of that, that I felt like I had to keep going because I didn't want to come back to it and do it later and set everything up again, but I should have. That purple, that's my color of desperation. Look at that, Jeneane, what are you thinking? So I wanted to be sure I added some detail in the foreground. I didn't want it to just look completely unfinished compared to the sky. But what I think I lost sight of, especially with those the rocks and those trees, was just this idea of the dark silhouette of those against the sky. It's like I lost my raison d'etre there. It'd be really great if I could do such a good job I wouldn't have felt like I needed to put any of those little grasses in. You can see how often I look back over at my photograph. Every time I turn my head to the left, I'm looking at what I'm painting, and yet still I'm just not getting those shapes right. And so when they're not right, they look wrong. Like that thing is supposed to be going downhill and it's not. And now it's a funny little panther on the edge. So when I really feel frustrated, I grab my charcoal. And I'm just trying to redraw a little bit, trying to focus just on drawing. See, it didn't really help it. At least it's getting smaller. And then this is the charcoal too, just trying to get these rocks a little better. Evidently I still haven't figured out that what I really need is just to make them darker. That it's more of a value problem than a drawing problem. Nope. Now I have a little T-Rex head there. Oh, thank you. Finally, I made it a little darker. It's not really dark enough, but at least it's better than it was. Fix the other one. I think that's an excellent thing of comparing that lighter rock against just the rocks, but not bothering to compare it to everything else in the picture. So having that rock end up way too light. Yeah, just trying to suggest some of the texture in the rocks without actually doing much work. That dumb rock. Now something has to be the worst thing, right? Oh, thank you. Still not dark enough, but better anyway. Better, better, better. Yeah, I was having a hard time making that feel like it was lying down. That little place where it's just tiny little rocks there. That's just the charcoal too. I don't know what I'm doing. I guess just seeing if I could make it a little darker. And that's how it looked. That's the same. I didn't work on it after the end of the film part.